Hello! Just got that fate done for a quest, just in time for Amdapor Keep to pop. I did try to record this earlier, but I guess I forgot to hit record before I started running it. So we're gonna run it again, just to get the recording done. When 2.0 launched, back in August of 2013, this was the hardest 4-player dungeon in the game. Now it's one of the easier, because everybody's so well geared. So we're going to breeze through this. There are a few boss mechanics to keep in mind on this, and we'll get to them as we go. So without further ado, here's the dungeon that used to give people nightmares, Amdapor Keep. Nothing special about the trash pulls in this dungeon, except for the fact that a lot of them are statues that will basically spontaneously come to life. So if you're tanking in this dungeon, just keep in mind those are going to be trash pulls. That said, with the way everybody's geared anymore, you can make pretty big pulls and not really have to worry about it. This is a pretty big one, so I'm going to use some of Garuda's AoE attacks. Ouch. Right now, as always, your extent of your AoE attacks are going to be Bane, Shadow Flare, and Garuda's AoE attacks. When you get into the level 52, when you start getting to level 52 and above abilities, you're going to get a lot more great AoE abilities. And that, to be honest, is where Summoner really starts to come into its own as a great class. Prior to the release of Heavensward, it was very widely considered that Black Mage was the superior caster over Summoner, and really only people who really wanted to play Summoner, like me at the time, really stuck with the class. Then when Heavensward came out and Summoner all of a sudden became a considerably better class, especially in AoE, the patience and diligence of the Summoner players were certainly rewarded. And Summoner got some great upgrades in Stormblood as well, making it definitely a top-notch casting class as it is right now. But it didn't start out that way. Of course, you're not going to see any of these high-level skills. Even though I'm leveling up, I'm not actually going to get, as I probably mentioned in an earlier video, I'm not actually going to get access to any of the skills above 50 until I actually complete all of the 2.x storyline. For those of you who are not aware, the 2.0 story and all of its respective dungeons released in August 2013, but over the next 2 years, various content patches were released that included new dungeons and new story. And this is all of these level 50 things that I'm going to be playing are mainly from these various patches up to patch 2.55. You have to complete all of the story content up to and including 2.55 and basically trigger the Heavensward story in order to take on the higher level quests to get your higher level abilities. Okay, this boss I should be talking about. It's fairly easy to start out with, at least. The Lunatic Priest will cast Void Call to summon the Psych Flare. Nothing you can do about that. So then start working on the Psych Flare. The Psych Flare is going to summon ads of its own, and these are the ads that you really have to worry about. Alright, first, it will tether to a Stone Servant over here. Or the Stone Marionette, I should say. Stone Marionette is easily killable. The real trouble is that big one in the back. The big one in the back is not targetable and will cast major room-wide, or have that major AoE that's going to really wreck you if you get hit by it. Fortunately, you can avoid it, even though you're standing in the AoE, by standing behind this pillar. The pillar will actually block the attack, so you're not affected by it. And there you go, that's the first boss. Ooh. I like getting gear. Even if this gear isn't as good as the gear I'm currently wearing, I can certainly use it for glamour. And even if I don't use it for glamour, I can turn it in for Grand Company seals. Alright, those are the statues that come to life that I mentioned earlier. Tank's making a nice big pull here, which is great. I'll bane everything. Drop Shadow Flare. This is a big enough pull for me to use in Kindle. With a 3-minute cooldown, you kind of want to save that for a nice big pull. Because you're not going to be able to use it in every encounter. Alright, our tank has been pulling more enemies, that's good. The biggest problem with Summoner that really translates into the higher levels as well is cooldown on resources. Your best abilities are on at least a 1-minute cooldown. Your 3 Ether Flow stacks are on a 1-minute cooldown. Your Shadow Flare, I believe, is on a 1-minute cooldown. Your Enkindle's on a 3-minute cooldown. So the trick with playing Summoner is knowing when to time your best effects. And the worst thing is if you're in one of your high-level combos and the enemy goes invulnerable. So knowing the fight, knowing when the best time to use your most powerful attacks, it's a good thing for all classes, but especially for Summoner. But at the same time, you don't want to be so gung-ho about saving it for the big battle that you don't use it at all, because, I mean, these abilities do exist to be used, and if you're going to be effective, you're going to want to use all the abilities you have at your disposal. So it's a nice little balancing act. And I may just hit level 52 in this dungeon. Not that it really matters, because I can't actually get any higher level abilities until I access Heavensward content, and that's going to be a while, because I intend to play every level 50 dungeon and trial, except for the what are considered the high-end trials. I may do those, but I'll probably do them unsynced, because that's how everybody plays them. They get up to a higher level, and they play them unsynced and use all their more powerful abilities. There are some groups that'll still try to play content at level, or even at minimum item level, which basically allows you to play the dungeons or trials or raids at their original level of challenge. Generally, you have to be in a free company that likes to do that sort of thing, or find a party in the Party Finder that is interested in doing that sort of thing. Alright, well, the door's opened. There's our second boss, Demon Wall. Demon Wall was an infamously hard boss when this dungeon first came out. There were a couple of wasp ads that would wreck everybody's day. Shortly thereafter, the wasps were removed, making this fight considerably easier. Now, with gear being what it is, it's not hard at all. Biggest thing you gotta worry about, when you see that big, icky purple field, don't stand in it. It's gonna do damage, and it'll also slow you down, and slowing you down makes it harder for you to dodge stuff, so don't do that. And it'll always start in the center, then go to the outside. Eventually, he's going to cast an ability called Repel. There it is. When he casts Repel, stay in the middle, because it has a knockback. And if you're too close to the edge, he'll knock you right off the edge. And that's really all you have to worry about in this fight. Dodge the purple icky. Stay in the middle for Repel whenever he uses it. And then just keep blasting away with your favorite abilities. And that's all she wrote. Oh, I already got one of those. I think I got one of those when I ran this earlier today. Oh, I need to use this. Okay, this third section is actually one of the longer sections of the dungeon. The first two sections, as you saw, really weren't that long. This one, I think, is a little longer. But depending on how much the tank decides to pull, it should go pretty quick. The trick in this room is some of the enemies, even if you don't have aggro on them, will fire AoEs at you. So even if you're not actually actively engaged against enemies, you still might have to dodge some AoEs. One trick, especially if you're playing with the controller, is to get good at placing the circle AoEs. I know it took me a bit to learn when I was first playing, to the point where I really didn't want to use circle AoE effects. But when eventually I had to realize that Shadow Flare was something you really want to have up as much as possible. Especially, they changed the effect of Shadow Flare when Stormblood came out. It used to be an effect that you could have pretty much up at all times. It was a longer cast, but it really didn't have much of a cooldown on it, and it stayed up on the field a lot longer, but did less damage. So it was a kind of a a mild damage over time that you could basically keep up at all times. Now it's an instant cast ability. It doesn't last as long, but does more damage over the time that it is up. So the amount of damage per use of the ability is about the same. It just does it a lot quicker. And you can't use it as often. Which is kind of annoying when the tank pulls everybody out of your Shadow Flare. Because, again, it used to be, if the tank pulls things out of your Shadow Flare, you just refresh it later on. No harm, no foul. Now, if the tank pulls things out of your Shadow Flare, you're not going to get the effective Shadow Flare for another minute. So you want to wait to use your Shadow Flare until the tank has established hate, and you know they're going to stay still, and you just hope that once you cast it, they decide to stay still. Alright, since we made such a huge pull there, we're almost done with the dungeon. We just have 2 Dullahans. And that large chamber up ahead of us is the boss room. Okay, so this final boss, like the first boss, is going to involve, I'm going to go ahead and skip this for the sake of the players. This boss also involves hiding behind things to avoid attacks. So we're going to, oh boy, that's going to hurt. Alright, anyway. The best thing to do is to actually stay to this boss's side because of that tail drive, which we've established is bad news. Okay, that was something you could have dodged by getting behind the pillar, but nobody did, and I didn't either. It actually didn't. It actually didn't matter because we had so much HP. So again, stay to its side. Okay, I should have not been there. Get out of there. Get out of there. Yeah, that's where you kind of need to get out. See, I'm trying to stay to its side, but it keeps rotating, so that's... I really didn't play that well. Anyway, that's that. Again, it's been so long since I played some of these early level 50 dungeons, I don't remember all the mechanics. So you're going to see me fumble through and learn everything as we go. because this is probably going to be the experience you had with these. And away we go. Alright, so that's Amdapor Keep. Just another step to getting the relic weapon and unlocking the Binding Coil of Bahamut. I'm going to unlock it. Again, I might not play it on this character, but I want to unlock it. And to unlock it, you need to have all of the, or you need to complete all of these dungeons in proper order. Alright, so I'm going to log for now, and everybody have a wonderful day.